Hello everybody, welcome back. I have another review for you guys today. It's another Essie Gel Couture collection. It's been a little bit since I've done a review for Essie Gel Couture. Couture, however you want to say it. It's their new Tailored Transformation collection. This is available at Beyond Polish. They sent this collection to me. I did that Essie winter review and those polishes aren't quite at Beyond Polish yet. They're kind of trickling in places. So as soon as that collection is available, I'll let you guys know on Instagram. But I know for sure that this Essie Gel Couture collection is already there. It is a fall collection. So this line is like my favorite nail polish line. I need to wear these polishes more, but I just love the formula. The brush is amazing. They go on nicely. If you want to know more about this line, I will put a link to my full review when they first came out. I think in 2018 or something, I want to say, to let you know more about them. They are a gel line and they require no light for curing, but they are a long-lasting line. There's some really good ones in here that I'm super excited about, so let's talk about all the polishes. This first one is Layered On Me and it's a really nice pink color. So it's slightly muted, it's mid-tone pink, and it's just slightly leans purple but not too purple. And then it has this gorgeous kind of sheerish crelly formula, but it builds up super nicely and it just glides on the nail so good, you guys. And their brush, this brush is so good. For some reason this brush is a little bit different and a little bit better than the Essie's regular line brush, but they're very close. But I just like this one a little bit better. It's a little bit thinner. Oh, I just love this. So I have a lot of comparisons for this one just because it was hard to find one that was super exact. I pulled out some Essie Gel Couture polishes that had similar color tones to this, but those are super sheers. They're not as buildable as this one, so I didn't compare them. But here's the ones that I did pull out. So I pulled out Into the A Bliss, and that one's a touch more muted and maybe slightly more purple, but that one's pretty close. And then Rice Baby is almost exact to Into the Bliss. Those are very close, which I had kind of forgotten. And then Olive and J Yogurt Parfait is softer and more muted. And so all those were a little bit more purple and a little bit more muted. So then I pulled out some brighter colors and they were just too bright. But it did remind me of Cascade Cool and Splash of Grenadine. So I am going to compare those, and here they are. So here's Splash of Grenadine. That is favorite Essie polishes ever. And it has a very similar formula. It's super close, but maybe kind of more purple than this. And then Cascade Cool has kind of a similar formula as well, and that one's brighter and more pink. And then OPI, let me tell you about this color, it's lighter and more pink. So man, I could not find one that was super exact to this just because the formula is a little bit different. The color's just slightly muted. It's not as bright as some of the other ones that I felt like were close to this color, and so I do feel like this one's unique and I love it so much. I'm definitely going to be wearing this in the winter. I'm happy about that because I'm going to be a little bit more pale in the winter, and this will have a little bit more contrast. I think if I had a tan, this would be more like a nude on me, so I'm really liking this one for winter and fall too. And then we have Transition Piece, and this is the polish that I have on my nails right now. I could not help but pull it out, so that gives you a hint that I really love this polish. And it's this beautiful kind of muted gray, smoky brown, purple, amazing polish. And it does have this very slight shimmer in here. It's so hard to notice. It's a little bit silvery. And I've noticed that a lot of Essie Gel Couture polishes have this in it. Quite a few of them. They kind of tend to throw that into a lot of them. And I love it. It's not enough glitter to be in your face, but it does give a nice shine and sheen on your nails, and it adds a little bit more depth. So I thought this one was just so cool, and it has that same formula, so it's a little bit crelly, but it's very buildable. I think you can get it opaque into possibly 3 coats you might need depending on how you are applying it. But man, I just love this one and I think it's perfect for fall. So I have a few sets of comparisons for this one as well. Let's get into those. I compared it to Crochet Away, and that one's more brown, but it is kind of close. Merino Cool is a touch deeper and more purple. Kind of close, the same idea, but that formula is more opaque, and this one's a little bit more crelly-ish. And then Sound Check You Out is lighter and more of a gray brown. And then I compared it to Chinchilli, and that one's quite a bit lighter than I thought it was going to be compared to this one. And then Transition Piece totally reminded me of OPI You Don't Know Jacques, and that one's more brown and darker, which kind of surprised me. Transition Piece is just a little bit lighter and a little bit softer. And then it also kind of reminded me of OPI Clay Dreaming, and that one's more purple and quite a bit darker than this one. So that is one of my favorites from this year. That's from OPI's fall line. So I really, really love this one, you guys. I think you definitely need to pick this one up because I feel like it's unique. I feel like it's a little fun, a little bit different, and a little bit classy, and I think a lot of you are really gonna love it too. And then we have Change of Seam, and it's this beautiful brighter, I want to say bright, but it's also kind of muted. It's an orange, but it has a little hint of red that almost makes it a little bit coral, but when you compare it to corals, it's not like super coral. So this one I feel like is a little bit different and interesting too. It has that same buildable curly formula that the other ones do, and it just goes on so nicely. I think you're going to need 2 or 3 coats depending on how you apply it, but it does build up pretty good. I just like how it looks on the nails. I don't wear orange a ton, but this is one that I might reach for more than just like your regular orange, just because it's a little bit jelly, a little bit squishy, and I like it a little bit more. Okay, so let's get into all the comparisons that I have. I have 2 sets for this too. So To DIY For is brighter, and Yes I Canyon is darker and more red, and then A Good Mandarin is Hard to Find is more of like a bright red, and then I compared Essie at the Helm, and that one's very close, if not exact. So that's the one I did find. It's like super close. So if you have that one, you might not need this one. The formulas are slightly different, and At the Helm might be just a touch lighter, but they're like super close. And then Essie Check In to Check Out is lighter and brighter and more of a coral orange, and Essie Sunshine State of Mind is more of like a red orange, and it's a little bit brighter. So that took quite a bit of digging for this one too, to find one that was like super close, and I did. So At the Helm's pretty close. So you might not need this one if you have that one, but I really do love this one quite a bit as well. This purple is Mix and Maxi, and it's a really kind of rich purple. It has a little bit of blue in it, and it's really good for this time of year. I do tend to wear these kind of purples as fall comes around. I have yet to wear one this fall, though I've been swatching a lot though, so I really haven't had a ton of time to wear a lot of polish, unfortunately. I usually do like purple, especially around Halloween. This one has a more cream formula. It's going to be opaque in 1 to 2 coats. I do think you want 2 for sure. There were some areas that I felt like were pretty patchy with just one, but it really does have a nice formula as well. And let's look at the comparisons here. So I compared it to Essie Expressi IRL, and that one's lighter, but it's the same kind of color tone. And then OPI Mariachi Makes My Day is a touch more blue, but that one's super close. And then Essie Berlin the Club is more red, but kind of has the same darkness or depth to it. So a lot of the other purples that I wanted to compare it to were a little bit lighter in color. So those are the ones that I pulled out to compare because they really were kind of the same darkness, and so they were the closest ones that I found. Anyway, the other ones were too light or too blue, and so I just didn't compare them. So I feel like this one, I wouldn't say it's like super unique, but it's a really good shade, especially if you like purples. And then we have Style Evolution, and it's this really interesting kind of deep terracotta burnt orange brick shade. It's really cool. I like shades like this. Essie has a few shades, and we'll get into those comparisons in a second, but this one is different. It also has that very subtle silver shimmer going through there, and I mean, I wouldn't even think you notice it unless you stuck it under a light. So a lot of people probably in reviews have not been mentioning that, but it's for sure there, and it really just gives, like I said, some nice depth and a little bit more interest. That is one thing that sets it apart from other polishes that I'm going to compare it. So this has a really great formula too. It's going to be opaque in 1 to 2 coats. It just builds up really nice, and I think it's going to be a super fun shade as we get into Thanksgiving. I usually tend to pull out shades like this. Okay, let's look at those comparisons. I compared it to Yank My Doodle, pause for the weird name. And that one's close, but more red. And then Bedrock and Roll is more brown. And then Fab Florals is more orange, like a lot of polishes that I have that I thought were pretty close to this. So it is a little bit different. I feel like this one is a little bit more mauve than some of the other ones. The other ones that I have tend to leave more orangey or more brown, and this one's just a little bit more muted and just a touch softer, and so I really like this one quite a bit. I for sure will be wearing it. And I saved one of the best for last. This is Autumn Allure, and it is an amazing green, you guys. It's a little bit muted, a little bit grayed out. It's also leans cool, and so I love that about it. I love greens that lean cooler. This one is just perfect for this time of year. I wish I could go back and add this to my fall favorites, but I hadn't reviewed this collection yet before I made that video. By the way, if you haven't seen that video, I'll put a link down below. It's got a lot of really awesome polishes that I love to wear during the fall season. I'm just gonna double check to see if this has that shimmer in it, because it really is kind of hard to see. I don't think it does. I just wanted to double check that. So it's just kind of a straight up cream. It's gonna be opaque in 1 to 2 coats. Such a lovely formula. I would definitely do 2 because I think it's gonna build the color up to be just a little bit darker, especially with this formula. So for sure do 2 coats. This is so perfect and so dreamy, and I love it. I get really excited about greens though. I think this is going to be perfect for fall, and I think it's going to be perfect for any month during the winter time. Okay, so I have a few sets of comparisons for this one as well. So I compared things I've seen in Abergreen, which is also one of my favorites, and I believe I had that one in my fall favorites video. That one's pretty close. It's a little bit muddier. So I feel like Autumn Allure has a little bit more blue in it than that one, but they're both excellent polishes. And then OPI Front Runner, which is so hard to find and one of my favorite greens at Christmas time, is a little bit deeper and richer and has a little bit more yellow in it. Oh, that's such a good polish. And then OPI Stay Off the Lawn is brighter and lighter and has more of a cooler base. It has more of a white base in it, so it's not as rich as these other ones. And then Off Tropic is lighter and not as cool toned. I love that one too though. I love all these greens. And then Force of Nature is more of a yellow green. That one just came out recently. I think that came out in their fall collection for Essie. And then Stylenomics, another one of my favorites, is darker but a similar color tone. Nothing exactly the same. Essie just needed a color like this, and so do you. Don't skip on it, especially if you love green. It is so good. It might just be my new favorite green. I think so. I feel good saying that. Okay, now I have to pick favorites. That wasn't too hard. And I picked 4. I knew I'd pick quite a few from this one. These 4, I don't reach for orange and purple too often. This one that I have on my nails, which is Transition Piece. And then the green, which is Autumn Allure. And then this kind of mauve brown orange Style Evolution. And then layered on me, the beautiful Corelli-ish pink. Oh, excited to wear this one too. I'll stop clinking all these bottles. I'm always clinking them. So let me know what your favorites were down below. Are you going to pick any of these up? Like I said, Beyond Polish has them, so if you like them, get them. I believe this is a limited edition collection. I will put it here if it's not, but these usually are. But let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks so much for all your commenting and your liking and your subscribing, and we will see you in my next review. Bye guys.